願いします。Okay, so we'll start with a few moments of Zazen, clarifying the posture, to clarify the mind. Releasing the breath to free the mind. Releasing on the out breath. Become very clear about the spine, the alignment of the spine. That'll help self-correct certain areas like back of the neck. You can probably allow the spine to be more open and long. A little further into that is allowing and intending space between the vertebrae. Imagine and feel the space between the vertebrae increases. That will allow you to lengthen the spine and straighten the posture without overly muscularly and artificially making that happen. It happens more organically and happens for you just through your intention. And as that spine lengthens and opens, allow the shoulders to drop away and release the abdomen. Then become aware of weight underside. As you open and lengthen the spine, perhaps that possibly may create some lifting, some weight upper side. So once you open and clarify the posture, skeletal alignment, take another moment to make sure you haven't become floaty and weight upper side. So the weight settles underside, but that does not drag down the skeleton or the postural shape. In fact, as the spine continues to lengthen and grow, within that process is the releasing down. Weight underside occurs as that lengthening and brightening, clarifying of the posture also occurs. They're completely related, yin yang. As one occurs, the other occurs. So let's work with it actually in that symbiosis. As you lengthen and open the spine, that creates or helps encourage even more weight underside or settling. And that lengthening of the spine, by the way, should again correct the angle of the chin, angle of the neck. It should tilt the chin down slightly or point the back of the crown towards the sky, not the center, the back of the crown. So that should happen organically, naturally, as that spine lengthens. As that occurs, let the tissues fall down, relax down, wash down. So that rising opening creates and allows more settling, more weight underside. As this happens, allows more of this. See if you can notice that or create that linkage. Releasing the abdomen. And then also have the idea, the intent of bringing this into our standing and into our movement. So once you get these qualities, these feelings, recognize that this is something, it's not just in Zazen. This is what we want to cultivate, to always have, to more and more have it all the time, even throughout our regular day. Now let's create the other emphasis, emphasizing the down, the weight underside, the releasing down, the settling, to create the rising and opening. So the settling, the weight underside triggers the rising and opening through the spine. And the more you settle and release down, the more you feel the weight on the bottoms of the legs, that directly creates even more opening, lengthening, verticalizing of the spine, right through the back crown of the head. So down creates that upness, down creates that clarification of that verticality. Each out breath is a releasing breath. Okay, and a couple or a few deep breaths just to release any tension, release any efforting in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, and walking into, with your hands, walking forward, letting the hips drop down, gentle stretch. You might not want to arch the head back yet. You might want to ease into this where you just let the hips drop gently with gravity. Come back. Let the hands pull the shoulders open as you sit back with the hips. Come forward, and then when you're ready, you can add a bit more of an arch by having the head go back. And notice if you're tending to hold the breath at all, so you want to correct that. Make sure the breathing is continuous. And that the body is soft and open enough, non-contractive enough, that you're not tending to hold the breath or tighten the breath. So you're tending to hold or tighten the breath. It's not just the breath itself, it's because the body is resisting the stretch. So you might be trying to stretch too much, or not intending and allowing the body to open up into that stretch. And then for a bit more of a stretch, you can go on to the knuckles. And then open the hands onto the hand blades. And the knuckles. And this is again optional. If you want even more stretch, you go onto the balls of the feet and let the hips hang so hips don't actually rest on the floor. Push down through the arms and you let the hips hang in the air. Now, push the hips back and walk your hands through. You go onto the flats of the hands if you want. Come back, stretching here. Breathing the whole way. Walk back. Drop the hips. Now, through every moment and millimeter of movement, relax and stretch through the arms, through the torso, through the legs. So everything we're doing is a lengthening and opening, even the walking of the arms or hands. Do that by pressing or lengthening through the arm, pressing, lengthening through the arm, pressing, lengthening through. Here, pressing down through the feet and the arms. So you keep growing, opening up the space in the shoulder joints and the other joints. The arms keep growing. Releasing the abdomen, stretch through the torso. Everything is through a lengthening process. In contrast to the normal tendency, which is contracting. So notice when you contract at any point in the movement, that's normal, but we want to go in the opposite direction. So part of what we're doing is not just lengthening, but noticing when we tend to contract, muscular contraction, joint contraction, and we want to go slow enough so that you can change that to the other direction. So we're simply going the other direction from normal, opening, lengthening. Everything is through a process of opening a joint or joints and no contraction. And it's not just this movement, but every movement. We want to cultivate and train that process, moving away from normal tendency of contraction and training that mind and body to opening, lengthening. Not contraction. Sending the hips back is by extending through your body, stretching through your body, not by contracting anything. And then press the knees and hips through to roll up the spine, comes right up through your hips and through your spine. Couple deep breaths. Try to continue that feeling and quality of opening the joints and lengthening the spine even as we stand stationary. So allowing space between the vertebrae. And with more practice, you'll be able to do the same thing in your hips, knees, ankles, all the joints. Intending and allowing space in all the joints. Again, that's opposite from normal. Normal is to contract, tighten, pull in. So we're training the mind and body, nervous system to go the other direction, literally, simply the polar opposite. Releasing the abdomen. Again, normal tendency is to tighten abdomen. Any iota of concentration, any iota of resistance to anything physically or mentally, we tighten up here. And so we're literally simply changing that process to the other direction. Releasing, opening the abdomen. That will have other effects too. Eventually you'll be able to notice the connection through other parts of the body. Simply releasing, opening the abdomen, for example, releases and rotates the ball joints. If my abdomen is tight, people are also tight here. When I release this, the ball joints rotate, tailbone drops. All that can be triggered by simply releasing the abdomen. The knees soften and bend. Even releasing the abdomen will have an effect on your shoulder joints. You'll start to notice these subtle connections. They become less and less subtle and more clear and direct and obvious as you develop your awareness and your ability to release and connect the entire body. Opening one foot, 45 degrees, straight step forward, starting very slow. We're still warming up. Of course, make sure that knee is directly over that foot to come forward. And press down to send you back, press down to send you forward. So we're not throwing our weight around. A little bit more involved is when we press down, we want to keep the leg open, again, avoiding contracting, things getting small and tight. I open, pour the weight down. I can pour the weight down. If I contract and tighten, the weight and energy isn't allowed to pour down. It's all bottled up. So contracting may give me the strength to move back, but it's tightening everything, restricting everything. And so there isn't the flow of energy or real connection to the ground. And it also isolates and separates every other part of the body. There's contraction somewhere, everything else there's a ripple effect. Everything else is separated. So by keeping my body open, even the part that I'm using, you train it to stay open rather than contracting. That furnace pipe we talked about before, or the PCV pipe, it's empty. Press down through the structure or peripheral scaffolding. You don't need anything to condense. And the same with the back leg, releasing down the back leg. So the next step is not contracting. So maybe you're doing well at not throwing your weight around, pressing down, letting the ground push you, pressing down, letting the ground push you. Next step is to tighten up less and less, staying open, even in the midst of that exertion. Other side. Release the abdomen. Maybe you notice that this gets a little bit tight in this action, in this exertion. Release and open. Let that release and open also include your shoulder joints. Now we'll go into starting with just arm swings here. We'll slowly and gradually go into more of a Minucci, more of a clear shape, but keeping the same feeling, quality, softness, and flow of just arm swings, and that openness that we've been talking about here, these joints. Keep that in the shoulders. The arms have a sense that they get longer as they come down. And then you keep that length, at the very least, keep that length as they go forward. If not, continue to get longer as you go forward. But definitely emphasize they get longer, 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 longer. Your fingers are dragging on the floor here. And at the very least, you keep that length when you come forward. If not, allow it to increase continuously. And with the turn. So with adding this turn, notice when you lose things a little bit and either intend to get it back or slow down to help you get it back. Okay, so let's go into, let's run through the HG program. So Taino Henko, we'll do each of these things quite briefly, I think. So we'll just touch upon them. So Taino Henko, again, check all the things, try to, without overloading your attention, which just creates tension, without trying too hard to remember everything. See what you are tending to remember just kind of naturally, what's kind of sticking in your mind, sticking in your awareness, and take those things into movement. So all the things we've talked about thus far. See if you can keep some of that's contained in your awareness as we do these movements. So Taino Henko, offline, half turn, full turn. Offline, half turn, full turn. Keeping the wrist in front of the center as you turn. Every little bit of the movement, this stays in front of the center. And that half turn can flow right into the full turn. So you don't have to pause there. And work both sides. At the end, of course, you're in a forward stance, but your spine is not forward. Just like we're sitting in Seiza earlier. Exactly the same things that we talked about right from the beginning of class today. All those things, you could just simply be sitting back in Seiza or doing those opening plank exercises. All that's still involved. Okay, let's move right into then Kokyo window. So that's just basically a more fluid, continuously flowing version of Taino Henko. It's not exactly the same because we don't have this hand position. We simply have this. So it's not exactly the same, but imagine someone coming in, you intercept them. They grab this because it's in their field of visions closest to them. They grab them, that, turn, let them through. They come back and intercept them, let them through. Let them through, guide them through. And you guide them through with the impeccability of your posture and your alignment and movement. Weight underside. Notice when you come up a little bit light, especially when you start thinking about doing something, you start thinking about doing something to someone, things will come in and or things will come up. So come back down to weight underside, just like we did in Seiza a few minutes earlier, all those things. So go slow enough so that you notice when you deviate from those basic qualities that we want. Another way of putting some of that is you're always hanging from the string. The hips are always hanging. Your weight is always sinking through your hips, through your legs. Sinking through your hips and legs, so your upper body is free and open. That spine is very long. Your feet are entering the ground. Your spine is reaching up to the sky. Okay, so Tenkan Undo with the slide step. So we'll start 90 degrees. So again, knees bent, all those things hang out. Arms are driven by that back foot. I'm covering more and more ground with the slide step, but notice when you're losing all these qualities that we're working on. Are you lurching? Are you leaning? Are you setting up for the movement? Rather than just hanging out, connecting to the ground, let the ground do the movement for you. And then seeing how much movement you can have without losing those things. Are you still hanging vertically from that elastic or that strength? Are you still hanging? Is your weight still falling through that verticality? Okay, so let's do 180 degrees, right side forward. Release the abdomen. Okay, good. So, when we start to bring in these qualities, these principles and these qualities, all our movement, doesn't matter what we're doing, these movements become misogi. They become a real clarification, purification of our energy, of our feeling. So these movements become a real meditative purification, not just a physical exercise, when we bring these qualities into it. So Ushiro Shiko. So what we want to work on with that, again, weight underside, hanging verticality, because what tends to happen is hiking up. Weight upper side definitely will happen, and contraction. So other than just good biomechanics, learning to come from the hips, turn the hips, what we're also learning is these qualities that we're working on today. Most simple of which perhaps is that verticality, letting the weight settle, weight underside in this movement. So go as slow as you need to keep your coordination, keep your integration, keeping the weight underside. So we don't want to go into quick, strong movement, but come weight upper side or lose some of these principles. So we want to train these internal qualities, these internal aspects, to go slow enough to work those internal principles. And then we can add speed as we progress. So try not to bob up and down. Keep your weight sinking, falling, weight underside, while you keep your vertical posture. So you're just turning your hips sideways, you're not coming up. Okay. So Yoko Otoshi. So this version, we're swinging the lower body from this shape on this side to this side. Last time we were emphasizing make sure that knee is pointing straight up so it doesn't crash down. Okay. Go ahead and do a few of those. Okay, and then Mayotoshi, front drop. So very basic is you get all the shape at the beginning. And in fact, you want to, when you're really first learning it, get it down here and then get it here before you go. So again, it's Manuchi, but we're not hitting the blades. It's the fleshy flat part. If you hit with the blades, you're getting contact with the bones. So fleshy part of the hands. And so at this level now, you want to turn your head as you drop. Unless you're still not quite clear on it, then set it up first. But once you get more familiar with creating the instinct, you have the change happen as you fall. Because in a real fall, it'll have to happen as you're falling. Okay. Okay. And then Ushiro, Sugiyashi. So Sugiyashi to the Ushiro, to the back. So forward stance into the left leg, offline, turn 45 degrees, full step back, slide back into a T stance, and a back stance. Offline, big step back, slide. Again, be mindful of qualities, principles we've been working on. Internal correctness is primary. Your movement is not primary. Internal correctness is primary, and that'll make the external movement more correct. Okay, then the other side, Migi Hanmi. So the forward leg is bent, and then the weight's on the back leg. So Sugiyashi, Ushiro. Offline, big step back, slide back. Center line awareness. Okay, now Ushiro Ayumiyashi. So if we start Migi Hanmi, right leg, Ayumiyashi, stepping back to the back corner, sliding into a back stance. So back foot comes up, right foot comes way back, left foot slides back to catch up. Back foot steps up, offline, big step back, back stance. Okay, let's do the other side. Hidari. Back foot, right foot comes offline. Left foot, big step back. Right foot slides back. Waist in the left leg, back leg. Ayumiyashi, Ushiro. Hang out, lengthen the spine, drop the weight. Good, good. It's looking good, looking good. Okay, now, 7th Q program. Shiko, Irimi Tenkan Undo. So let's touch upon that. So that's turning. So you do a Shiko, you bring knee to knee and turn, bringing that leg up. You bring knee to knee, turn, bring that knee up. And again, later, you'll be able to stay more stable, not bobbing up and down, and have the hands with the knees. So. It's one of those things that comes easier with practice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do Minuchi Ikyuendo, instead of Shiho, it's going to be Hapo Undo. That's 8. So Shiho Undo is the 4 directions, which we've all done. Hapo Undo is 8 directions. Okay, so let's do this together. Now, what's nice is that the first 4 are the 4 that you've done. So do the 4 corners, the 4 directions, and then I'll lead you into the new 4 directions for a total of 8 directions. Okay, so we'll do those 4. So each, ni, san, shi. Okay, so this is where, if we're just doing the 4, then we do the Irimi Tenkan to face the front again. But we're continuing from here. So from here, so your left leg is forward. You step with the right foot to that back corner. So your right foot to that right corner, Minuchi. So now you're facing away from me. Now we're going to Tenkai, pivot to the left. So turn on your right heel, turn on your left heel. We do Minuchi to the left front corner. And now we're going to step with the right foot to the right front corner, Minuchi. Come back, Tenkai to the left, and Minuchi to the back corner. That's 8. And we start again by stepping to the front wall again with the right foot. So that's each, ni, san, shi. So right foot to the back corner, Tenkai to the left, Minuchi to that front left corner. Step with the right foot to the right front corner, Tenkai to the left, Minuchi to that corner. Step with the right foot straight to the front wall again. Each, ni, san, shi, back corner, go, pivot to the left, roke, step to the right, each, pivot to the left, hach, step to the front again. 1, 2, 3, 4, back corner, 5, pivot to the left, 6, step into the right corner, 7, pivot to the left, 8, so each, ni, san, shi, wo, roke, each, hach. Try 1 or 2 rotations on your own. Okay. We're getting a little bit more complex with our movement. In other words, we're bringing things together. Foundational, basic drills, basic movements, and we're suturing them together. So we're going to do Kokirho Undo into Sayu Endo. So we're adding Sayu Endo, and we'll start with 2 beats. Again, we do 2 beats to give us a bit more time to relax and letting us find a natural rhythm to relax into, and further encouragement to let weight fall underside. Then the next stage is just 1 beat and having all that relaxation and coordination in 1 beat. What tends to happen when we just do things in 1 beat, you see the tension? Okay, Sayu Endo. Everything tends to be tight. So relax, relax, drop, drop, 1, 2. And then when we go to 1 beat, we want all that relaxation and openness right away. So that looks like this. So that looks like all the weights here, 1, 2, and go back the other way. 1, 2. Short, curtailed, tight, open, down, and open, just like our fascia stretching exercises. You keep that going. Nice and open. Okay, so maybe if I face the same direction as you, let's try a few. So Kokyo window, all the way to the left leg, left hip, 1, 2. Now turn back to the right. So a little bit of a tenkai on the feet. Turn back to the right, Kokyo window, all the weight into the right leg, 1, 2. Tenkai to the left, step with the right foot, step back, all the weight in the left leg, 1, 2. Rotate back to the right. Sink, sink. Step, step, sink, sink. Step, step, sink, sink. Keeping center line awareness. Keeping your hands in front of your center line the whole time. Hang out and breathe. Abdominal breathing. Staying vertical. Okay. So hang out, centered. Breathing in, opening. Breathing out, settling. Feel the joints soften, release. And so they're allowed to expand because they're softening and releasing. Let the breath move through your entire body. Coaxing open the joints. Let everything relax and settle without collapsing. The weight settles into the feet. Breathe in, opening, expanding, joints open. Breathe out, everything settles back. But keep the verticality and length of the spine. The hips drop. Okay, let's bow out. Domo arigato gozaimasu.
どうもありがとうございました。
And we'll see you in just a couple minutes, just a few minutes,
Yeah.
for Aladdin's grading. So
Hey.
yeah, actually we've got, a good 15 minutes so you guys can
Yeah.
rest, hang out. So see you at 7:30.
7:30. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, see you then.